If you've been scrolling through endless speaker reviews, watching dozens of YouTube unboxings, and still feel stuck wondering whether a set of bookshelf speakers will finally fill the gap between your tiny TV sound and the concert hall vibe you crave, this review is for you. I pulled apart the specs, skimmed the most recent buyer comments, and actually set these speakers up in a modest-sized living room to see how they behave in a real-world environment, not just on paper. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the ELAC debut reference line isn't brand new hype. It's the 2019 refresh of a model that has been quietly earning a reputation among audiophiles who want a serious step up from the built-in TV speakers without breaking the bank. The pair you're looking at, the DBR62 bookshelf speakers plus the DCR52 center channel, comes in a sleek blackened walnut finish that blends into a modern DCR without shouting audio gear. The real question is, does that package actually translate into a noticeable improvement in everyday listening, and who will get the most bang for their buck? Let's talk about the room where I tested them. I have a 1,215-foot rectangle with a standard drywall finish, a medium-size rug, and an average gain subwoofer tucked into a corner. The listening position is about 6 feet from the front wall, which is typical for a small to medium family room. I placed the DBR62S on either side of the TV, about a foot off the floor, angled slightly inward toward the couch. The center DCR52 sat directly below the display, mounted on a small shelf. I didn't use any special acoustic treatment, just the room, as it is for most people. What you'll hear first is the clarity of the mid-range. Voices, vocal tracks, and dialogue from movies came through crisp, with the center speaker anchoring the front soundstage without any hollow feeling that cheap centers sometimes produce. In a recent binge watch of a dialogue-heavy series, the lines were intelligible even at low volume, which is a practical win for late-night viewing when you don't want to blast the whole house. The dual-flared slot port on the DBR62S contributed a smoother low-frequency response than I expected from a speaker without a dedicated sub. Bass from a pop track rolled in with enough punch to feel physical, yet without the booming boom that can muddy other instruments. Now, no speaker is perfect, and this bundle's strengths also hint at its trade-offs. Because the DBR62S are still relatively compact, about 14 inches tall, their low end extends only to the lower midrange. You'll feel the thump, but you won't get the same depth you'd hear from a larger floor-standing model or a subwoofer-driven system. That's not a flaw if you're looking for a clean, balanced sound for movies and music at moderate levels, but if you're chasing that deep-railed, cinematic rumble in a home theater setup, you'll likely need to add a separate sub. The dual-flared slot port does mitigate the bass hole feeling, but it does so within the limits of the cabinet size. Another practical observation is the speaker's sensitivity to placement. When I moved one of the DBR62S a few inches further from the wall, the overall balance shifted, those lower frequencies became tighter, and the imaging sharpened. This is typical for bookshelf designs, but it means you'll need to experiment a bit to land on the sweet spot. The good news is that ELAC includes enhanced bracing inside the cabinet, which reduces unwanted resonance when the speakers are leaned against a wall or shelf. In my setup, the speakers sat fairly close to the side walls without any buzzing or echo, which is reassuring for anyone who can't afford a dedicated speaker stand. Who should consider this bundle? If you're a movie lover who wants clean dialogue and a decent sense of immersion without investing in a full surround sound system, the combination of DBR62 and DCR52 hits the sweet spot. It also works well for music enthusiasts who value a neutral sound signature. Classical pieces revealed instrument separation that my older budget speakers simply smudged. Home office folks will appreciate the clear vocal reproduction for conference calls, especially when paired with a decent DAC or receiver. On the flip side, if your primary goal is to blast heavy metal or EDM at high volumes and you expect the bass to shake the floor, you'll likely feel the limitations. The speakers are rated at 8 ohms, which matches most AVR outputs, but they won't push the extreme power levels that a dedicated sub can handle without distortion. Also, if you have a large, open-plan living area, the 6-inch woofers in these units may struggle to fill the space. In that scenario, scaling up to floor-standing ELAC models or adding a subwoofer would be a smarter move. A point that often slips through the marketing blur is the practical durability of the finish. The walnut veneer on the DBR62S and the black cabinet on the DCR52 resisted fingerprints reasonably well during my week-long trial. I did a quick wipe with a dry cloth and there were no streaks, which suggests the finish can handle everyday handling without needing a